الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
In the early stages of human history, when everything was going to be set in stone and set in place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the angels that what's going to occur is it's going to be creation that's going to be made from clay, and they're going to be put onto the earth, and they're going to live on the earth. And the angels, who by the way are so vast in number, that there's a hadith in Bukhari that states that each and every day, 70,000 angels, they go to the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above the seventh heaven, and they pray to Him every single day. And at the end of the day, they go and they never return. And a new batch of 70,000 angels come the next day, and they worship Him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the cycle continues just like that, and it will keep going on until Yawm al-Qiyamah, until the last hour. So the angels responded to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and said, why would you put a creation onto this earth when you know they're going to cause mischief, when you know they're going to cause chaos, when you know they're going to cause destruction on the earth? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded and told them, I know what you do not know. So when Adam alayhi salam was created, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered everybody that was present to bow down to Adam alayhi salam, not in worship, but out of respect. So everyone did so, except the Iblis, the shaitan. And Iblis had a kind of jealousy in his heart, a kind of anger in his heart, a kind of rage in his heart. And he felt that I'm made of fire. This creation is made from clay. Why should I bow down to something that I feel I'm superior to? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cast him out. And Shaitan begged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Iblis begged him. And Iblis told him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let me live until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Let me keep living on earth until the last hour. For I will bring as many people as I can with me to the Jahannam, into the bottomless pit of fire. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala agreed to his request. So when Adam alayhi salam and his wife, when they ate from the forbidden tree and were sent down to the earth, what happened was they had children, many, many children. And the human population started to grow. And they had to learn how to live on earth. It was a very difficult life. They had to learn how to survive in the wilderness because there's many other beasts living on the earth. And two children in particular, specifically, were the names Habil and Qabil. And they were brothers, and they grew up together. And the time of marriage came. And when the time of marriage came, one of them, well, the way it used to work was, since there was such a limited amount of people living on earth at that time, Habil's twin sister was going to marry Qabil's twin sister, and vice versa. So that's how it was supposed to work. But Qabil wanted to chase his own desires. That's what he wanted to do. He did not want to follow the tradition. So an argument ensued. And they went to Adam, their father, alayhi salam. And Adam alayhi salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what to do. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Adam alayhi salam, let the two of them give the biggest sacrifice that they have, the biggest item that they have. And whichever one she chooses is the one she's going to marry. So what happened as a result? Qabil did not get what he wanted. And he, for the first time in his life, he wasn't happy. He felt it wasn't fair. He felt it was something that he wanted, and now that it's gone, jealousy and rage came into his heart, to the point where he wanted to murder his own brother. So one day, when his brother was sleeping under the shade of a tree, he came with a weapon and beat his brother ruthlessly until his brother lay motionless and was gone. Khalas. So he knew at that moment that he let the shaitan get to him. He knew at that moment that if he continued onto this path, he was going on the path of Jahannam. And he knew at that moment that he had to live with the guilt for the rest of his life. And it was the first murder that was committed in human history. So, what is the moral of this story? Well, the moral of this story is evaluating Shaitan's akhlaq and his jealousy, the reason why he did not want to bow down to Adam alayhi salam. The same thing with Qabil. He did not get his desires, so he got very angry as a result. So we have to take bits and pieces of this story and to learn from it and to steer away from what they dwelled into. So you know how human beings can be. As time went on, after Adam alayhi salam passed away, there were many pious men after him. And the shaitan came to these people after these pious men passed away and said, why don't you build a statue to remember these people, to honor these people, because they did a lot for the community. They did a lot for you guys. And they agreed and said, this is a great idea. So they made the statues to remember these people, these pious men. And over time, shaitan gets to their head, Iblis gets to their head. And what happens as a result? They start worshipping these statues. It is the nature of the human to fall prey to Iblis' trap. So, my topic is akhlaq and good character. And when it comes to overall akhlaq and character, there are 5 main components that is going to be on this part of my talk. So, number 1 is being truthful. Anything that you do in life, whether it's big or small, and some people like to take this for granted. They think a small lie here or there is not a big deal. But in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's view, it is a big deal, because what happens is these small lies will continue to add up. And on Yawm al-Qiyamah, when you see the scale, you will see that these small lies are added up against you. And your tongue will speak against you. And your mouth will speak against you. And your hands will speak against you. And you will be at a complete loss. So bear these in mind, that honesty and truthfulness will definitely go a long way, and is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for. The second one is to keep your promises. Someone who continues to keep his promise, someone who consistently does so, will be respected of those people around him. He'll be viewed as someone who is a major player in the community, who can make a difference, and they will respect his opinion whenever he wants to give it. Number 3 is being trustworthy. So when your friend tells you a personal secret, and he specifically tells you not to say it, and then when that friend leaves, you go on and tell as many people as you know, what does that do? That is something that is completely wrong, and that is something that will lead to the haram. Lying, backbiting, gossiping, all of these things are dangers that we should definitely stay away from. It is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extremely frowns upon. And it is something that will be punishable after your death. So be very wary of these, my brothers and sisters. Number 4 is to be a sincere advisor. When it's talking about a sincere advisor, it means you are a person that people come to you when they need help. People come to you because they have a problem in their personal life. And you are able to be a mediator and help them solve their problems. And even though as time goes on, the people will forget that you've done this for them, they might forget. Know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never forgets, and you will be rewarded for this after you pass away. Number 5 is to give with a clean heart. And when you give with a clean heart, do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. If you do it for other people's praise, other people's appreciation, other people's validation, other people's reassurances, it's not going to go anywhere. And if you're doing it for their sake, it will not be beneficial to you. If you do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, and the intention is being critically evaluated here, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for this. So when it comes to the last thing I want to talk about in this part of this talk is when you are a child growing up, you view your parents as you look at their akhlaq, you look at their character, and it really paints a picture, and it helps you it helps you create your own akhlaq, your own character. So when this occurs, let me just give an example. A father and a son, they go to a Walmart, for example. They do their shopping. They fill the grocery full with shopping carts. They go to the cash register. They pay for their food. They go back to their car. The father looks at his receipt and says, "Oh son, the milk is not paid for at the bottom of the shopping cart. Let's go back and pay for it." And the son says, "We already waited 45 minutes, oh father, at the shopping cart, at the Walmart. Why should we go back?" And the father says, "No, this is something that's haram. It's not mine. I didn't pay for it. I didn't earn it. Let us go back and pay for it." So what will the son remember from this small lesson? He will remember the good traits that his father had. He will remember the good things that his father used to do. And that is a true story with me and my own father who passed away a few months ago. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him the highest position in paradise. Ameen. So when you pass away, the main thing people remember is your overall akhlaq, your overall character. That's what they're going to remember the most. And it will play a significant component, significant factor when it comes to creating an overall legacy. They're going to remember what kind of person you were. They're going to remember how kind you were to people. They're going to remember what kind of things you used to do. How many times you kept your promises. How many times you told the truth. How compassionate you were with other people. That's what people are going to remember about you after you pass away. And the better akhlaq you have, the more chances people will make dua for you, and it will be beneficial for you in the grave after you pass away. Because after that, when you pass away, khalas, you're going to be all alone, and your good deeds will go with you, and that is all. So we have to be very wary of this, my dear brothers and sisters. Now, what is character? I've already talked a little bit about character, but I'll say one statement that truly kind of emphasizes what character is all about. So watch your thoughts as your thoughts might become your words. Watch your words as your words might become your actions. Watch your actions as your actions might become your habits. And watch your habits as your habits might formulate your overall character and define your legacy. So think about that statement for a second, and you realize how important akhlaq is. But when you talk about a specific person who had the best akhlaq and the best characteristic, it is none other than our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you look at his seerah, if you look at his life, and if you look at the kind of things he used to do, you will see what kind of amazing akhlaq he used to have, how he used to conduct his daily life. And it is crucial that we take these small little components of his life and apply it to our daily lives to benefit ourselves. So I'm going to talk about the 6 C's. The 6 C's of akhlaq. Number 1 is conscience. Conscience is your inner moral compass. It's telling you what is wrong. It's basically a reminder for you. That's what it is. So for example, you're at school with your friends, whether they're non-Muslim or not, and it's Friday night, and you're going to this party or going to this club. And what is your conscience telling you? Your conscience is telling you, do not go to this place because it will lead to the haram. It will lead to something that's no good. So that's what the conscience really focuses on. It really helps you steer away from the haram because it is a reminder. It is a reminder that you should stay away from this. And if you do stay away from this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for this. So another aspect of conscience is when you know, and another example is when you know fully well that your neighbor is hungry and you're eating full. So this hadith is in Bukhari. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "A believer is not the one who eats his fill when his neighbor is hungry." These times is different, but back in those days, neighbors used to talk to one another all the time. So when you know, you have to apply to this day of life, and it's crucial to remember when moving forward. So the second aspect I want to talk to you guys about is compassion. So compassion is the ability to feel for others and with others. So the ability to be very kind, to be very caring, to be very loving. And one time, during the time of the time of the lead of Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, he was walking in a big marketplace one time with his companions. And what happened was somebody pickpocketed him. Somebody took something from him. And he didn't know who it was, neither did his companions. Nobody knew who it was. It was a professional, someone who was very sneaky, let's just say. And his companions, what they're doing was they started to curse this person. They said, "May Allah curse this man who stole from Umar radiallahu anhu." And Umar radiallahu anhu said, "No." And he raised his hands to the skies and said, "Oh Allah, if this person took it because he was in need, then bless this money for him. And oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if he is a professional thief, oh Allah, then make this one of the last of his sins and make this guide him to the straight path." So basically, what can you learn from this story? You can learn that Umar radiallahu anhu was making dua for someone who wrongly did something bad to him, but he still made dua for him. He still made dua to elevate that person's status, to help that person, and it shows how compassionate Umar radiallahu anhu was. Number 3 is consideration. So when you're talking about consideration, you're talking about thinking about other people's feelings. So what does it mean to be considerate? It means to be deliberate and to think before you speak in regards to the following question: how are my actions and my words going to impact others? So one time, during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was sitting with his companions, and he told them specifically that Ikrimah, the son of Abu Jahl, who was the Fir'aun of this ummah, was going to accept Islam. And when he was coming to accept Islam, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Do not say anything ill about his father, because that's going to hurt Ikrimah's feelings. Because at the end of the day, whether Abu Jahl was a kafir or not, he was a kafir, but even though he was a kafir and he died a kafir, there's still a father-son relationship. And there's still that love he has for his father. Because at the end of the day, that's his dad, and that's not going to change." So the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was being considerate of Ikrimah's feelings, and being considerate means respecting the feelings of others. So the fourth one I'm going to talk to you guys about is courage. And this story is very interesting that I'm going to share you with. Ibn Abbas narrated that during the time of Musa alayhi salam, there was a woman who lived in Fir'aun's castle. And this woman was basically the hairdresser of Fir'aun's daughter. And she was one day combing the hair of Fir'aun's daughter, and the comb fell down, and this woman picked it up and said, "Bismillah." And then what happened was, the Fir'aun's daughter was confused and said, "Do you mean my father? Or who is this God you speak of?" Because Fir'aun's daughter literally believed that Fir'aun was God. So this woman said, "No, everyone has the same Lord. He is above the heavens and the skies and the seventh heaven, and he is Allah Azza wa Jal." And Fir'aun's daughter said, "I'm going to tell exactly what you said, and I'm going to go to my father Fir'aun." So she went and told her father, and her father was very upset. In his mind, his mentality was, how can someone beneath the dirt at the bottom of my shoes, how dare they question my authority? That's what he thought in his mind. And what happened was, this woman was summoned. He said, bring this woman to me. And this woman had 6 children. And these 6 children were very close to her. She used to take care of them a lot. One of them was the youngest, the baby in the cradle, who was in her arms. And Fir'aun said to her, you're going to claim that I am your Lord. And the woman said, no, I'm not going to do this. Look at her courage here. And then she said that the real Lord can give life and death. And Fir'aun, with his kibr, with his pride, with his ego, he says that I can give life and death. I can give life by sparring you, by letting you live, by letting you go. And I can give death by killing you right now. And she said, no, the real Lord is above the 7 heavens, and He's the creator